Okay, hello, internet world. It's 6:12 in the morning. Let me continue with this weird story that probably goes nowhere. But it's kind of interestingly written, I guess. Now, where was I? What do I remember reading? Okay. All in all, he had only gone maybe 2 blocks, and yet, goddamn, he breathed. What a chase. With a hefty shove and a sloppy heave forward that threw his hair into his round face, Cherry flew open the car door and charged, kicking off the hard ground the moment the sole of his shoe touched the cement and springing. "Stop, thief!" Haves hollered out in desperation. His voice was breaking slightly with exhaustion, and his breath was heaving. He pushed himself, forcing himself forwards. Just one last little bit, and in that oddly suspended moment, as if he had inadvertently stepped into a wandering square of otherworldliness, he saw the faces of the young men, staring with glassy eyes at him. Then their heads turned towards Cherry. They had that fear in the shocked lines of their faces, their eyes stretched wide and their corners of their mouths dragged down. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. This wasn't the end they were trying so hard to reach. Then it was done. Bam! Cherry drove into the young man with all the momentum of his thick body. He's thick. So hard that the boy was knocked straight off his feet. One fast stumble of his sneakers, then his legs slipped out in front of him, throwing him back into his friend and sending them both down onto a stranger's green grass lawn. In all of these 3 seconds, they were suddenly helpless. The boy carrying the electronic box had it on top of his chest, hands still gripping it, although by now it was certain he couldn't keep it. On top of the box, on top of himself, was Cherry with an angry snarl. "What the hell are you thinking? What a good Samaritan, huh? Can you imagine helping a stranger like that or whatever?" I mean, you don't know if these guys got guns or something, you know, this guy's taking dangers upon himself. Hey man, get off me. This stuff's mine." "Bullshit," Haves snapped at him. How many fucking movies have that same line? Like, we talk about overdone. Still somewhat out of breath, but he was already snatching at the other boy. And yanking hard at the backpack he wore, jerking it off his shoulders and clutching it to himself. "You good-for-nothing burglars. How'd you even get in?" Haves stepped forward as if to kick him, but he never got that far and the boy scrambled away from him. Cherry wrenched the box from the other and sat back on his heels on the grass to let the boy stand. He's gonna sit on his ass and let the other guy stand up. What if the other guy tries to kick his ass? You know, I don't know. These guys are just so confident that they won. But still glared at him all the while. "You're lucky I don't arrest you," Cherry scowled, getting himself to his feet. "Yeah, that's right. I'm an undercover cop, but you didn't know that. That's bullshit." Haves watched the boys' faces go blank in shock as they swayed uncomfortably where they stood. "Yeah, but I feel sorry for you bums, so go on, take a shower, get out of here before I change my mind," he growled out gruffly. "You're really an undercover cop?" Cherry made a flick of his wrist and swished the alcohol around in his cup. It's just like just generic alcohol, not any kind. Oh wait, it just says in the next line. Okay, I'm stupid. As if it were wine, not just tequila. Okay, whatever. He looked down into it as if he'd be able to see himself, to judge himself to answer that question. But of course he couldn't. That's like 23-year-old me being like, oh, you swirl wine around and not hard liquor. You do whatever you want with your booze. You know, when you're young, you just want so badly to seem like you know what you're talking about, you know? But, yeah, I feel like that's society's fault. If society didn't treat young people as being so dumb, maybe we wouldn't have to prove ourselves so hard. But, hey, whatever. Blah, 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 blah. He shook his head. No, not anymore. Not anymore. So he was a cop at one point. That's fucking hilarious. I can't imagine Sherry Vega, like, fat, heavy metal looking ass being a cop, but okay. He took a drink. Haves looked down to the table. Down onto his arms that were folded there. We should have called a real cop. Cherry put his glass down with an audible clunk of distaste and shot Haves a cold look. I'm still a real cop. An ex-cop is still a real cop. Cherry. Yeah, but you know, someone who can really... He tried to gesture a little bit floppily with his hands. You know, make arrests and stuff. Cherry scoffed. He shook his head and drank his drink. Well, what do you know? The man half muttered, looking ahead at the empty wall of the bar. There was a massive volume of silence then that followed. Cherry was still, as if frozen in wax, and Haves felt a small jolt of panic when he saw the way the dim bar light reflected off the other man's pale hand. He could feel the clock slow to a stop. He could feel the two of them drifting away from the gravity of the place. Hey, mister, Haves yelped out suddenly with low violence befitting of the place they were in, but all the same sharp and deceptively held back, deceptive of that dark panic which floated just below the surface of that ice. I think that's it. I don't think there's any more. Anyway, that was weird. I don't know what was going on with that story, but it's kind of cool how Haves has, like, I don't know, he has, like, weird breaks with reality, I guess, out there. Maybe not breaks, but maybe he sees stuff other people don't. I don't know, he has some kind of a connection to another world. It's just so funny how it's like, oh, these guys are robbing them, so they just, like, tackle the guys together when they don't even know each other, and then they become friends, or at least hang out at a bar one time. And they're just saying all this stuff, like, it's just so funny how, like, in real life, it's like, none of that, my cat is staring at me so hard. None of that stuff would ever happen, because it's like, first of all, how many times somebody actually helped a stranger, and they're like, oh, somebody stole something from me. It's because you don't know. Like, people want to say, oh, it's because people are selfish, they don't want to help, da-da-da-da-da, like, people are not good people anymore. But it's not true, it's just because you don't know, and every fucking thing you do is a gamble. Like, of course in the book it's easy, because it's like, oh, good guy, bad guy, it's so simple. But in real life, it's like, if you're Cherry, right? Some guy's saying like, oh, they're stealing from me, and then you go out, you see somebody running, how do you know that's true? How do you know it's not Haves is lying? And then if you try to get involved, you're gonna hit the wrong person. And then, you know, even if the other guy wasn't really stealing, it's like, what if you run up to them? What if they have a knife or a gun? Like, you try to just grab them and tackle them. I mean, he said he was a cop, an ex-cop, but I mean, like, still. And really, that should just make him all the more cautious. That's like, they could have weapons, you know, who the fuck knows, you know. And it's just so easy for them. Then after that, they start talking. Well, I guess after something like that, so wild, you would talk to somebody, but would you be like, oh, you want to go to the bar with me? And then the other person in real life probably say no, because they're not ready for that or whatever. People are just so distant from each other, you know. It's a very hard world to live in. I think that's another reason why it's hard to write nowadays, because everyone is so distanced and everything. There's, like, so much discouragement from doing anything interesting, basically, at all. Like, you try to write a story, anything interesting that could happen seems unrealistic, you know what I mean? But anyways, so it's only 10 minutes because that story was short. So, you want to see some pictures I drew back then? Back when I was better at drawing. Look at this picture. It's like some heavy metal god on a fucking deer. And this is before The Hobbit, where that guy was riding on a deer, so I thought of it first. Look at that. You can't really see it because it's so fucking light. But I need like a... I wish I could turn the contrast on my thing. Anyway, you can kind of see it. It's pretty hard to see it in the camera, actually. What else is in here? This is a picture I never finished. Surprise, surprise. Like, two guys hanging out, I guess, or whatever. And then, I kind of like this guy's hair right here. He has interesting hair. What does this say? This is like a poem. Oh, that's like... Oh, I have read this before. Okay, that's a depressing poem. Why? And then the bunny's thinking about pie. That's pretty funny. Look. Why? Everything is so hard to see in the camera. The exact thing they were championing was exactly what terrified me so much. That's interesting. Wow. Just the same as I might avoid a specific place of no importance merely because it holds a faint taste of something bad gone by, I return to this meaningless place merely because it makes me think of him. That's kind of nice. There's pie. We must have been getting ready for Pie Day at the Exploratorium because a lot of stuff about pie is in here. Head explodes, that's funny. Why are you doing that, Quincy? He's like throwing my candle off the shelf. Oh look, there's a poem in the back. Let me read this. I ain't no savior, I ain't no long lost love, I ain't no competitor, no angel from above, I ain't no perfect being, ain't no satanic priest, I ain't no last horizon, the song ain't even right for me. I am the judgment maker. Come and make your case to me. I will line you up in order based on evidence I see. You don't have to take my judgment. Take your case for other tries. See if they'll crown you a winner. My race is always end in ties. I ain't no skeptic. I ain't no firm believer. I ain't of no importance. I ain't no maddening fever. I am the judgment maker. Come and beg your case to me. I will line you up so careful, but you're all the same to me. That's interesting. Thinking more about the job thing. Let's see what this is about. So yesterday everyone was trying to tell me that there are enough jobs for everyone. This one person said if you go to college you can get a job. But I said there's a lot of people with college degrees who can't get work. They said, oh, it has to be in the sciences or technology, or it doesn't count. So real nice. So now we're all restricted to only doing science and tech jobs. Well, if you can't, what if you're just not good at it? Not everyone is meant for these jobs, and even if they could somehow graduate school in those fields, they'd just be miserable in those jobs. But of course the right-wingers don't care anything about quality of life. They just say, too bad, those are the jobs, make yourself good at it. Is that really the kind of country the USA wants to be? I thought we were supposed to be the greatest country on earth. Quote, that's in quotes. Where you can get a good job that you actually enjoy. I know it's not a reality right now, but that's the point. Shouldn't we be striving for that? See, right-wingers don't want a better life for anyone. They're so wrapped up in just keeping things as fucked up as they are and concentrating their energy on saying, shut up and deal with it, to every problem. They're always citing oh, this is long. They're always citing the past and saying, such and such pioneer made themselves out of nothing. They had a horrible life, but they never gave up. Well, that's very inspiring and all that, but is that what we want for the citizens of the USA? Horrible lives just so we can say, oh yeah, but we never gave up. The point of a bad past is to learn from it and do something different so it doesn't happen again, not just repeat it. What the hell is the point of that? Right-wingers are so obsessed with doing stupid shit just for bragging rights. They think it's fine for the common person to get treated like shit because it supposedly builds character. I say screw that. Anytime you have the opportunity to stand up for better conditions and better treatment, you should. Hey, are people going to ever get treated better if they don't demand it? No one is going to hand it out because those at the top are greedy and selfish and they'll do anything they can do not to pay their workers and not give them anything, even basic necessities. Right-wingers accuse left-wingers like me of being whiny and wanting handouts just because we want human beings to be treated better. God forbid we try to increase anyone's quality of life. We want hard-working sales associates, janitors, food service workers, and all of them to get just a couple dollars more per hour so they can afford simple things like diapers and soap. Not have to squeeze a family of 8 into one bedroom apartment. Is that so much to ask? Who is to say that these jobs I mentioned are worth so much less than something like a web page maintenance person at a big company? Why does an office job like that, or like advertising? Hey, what are you doing, boy? Like advertising, pay more than an elementary school teacher. Why should everyone have to do service and tech? It seems like it's either that or the army or police. You have people who get sick at the sight of blood, and you're telling them that they have to be nurses or paramedics. You have pacifists, and you're telling them they have to be cops and taser people and beat them with nightsticks. You're telling people that if they want money for school and taking care of their family, that they have to join the army. In order to survive, they have to take a job where literally they could get killed at any moment. You might as well live with a gun pointing at your head. Is that the great and wonderful USA, a life of misery? Not everyone is cut out for such a narrow option of jobs. Some people can't do math. Some people don't get computers. Some people are artists or are good at nurturing things like gardens or kids in daycare. And the right says that the left is trying to ruin America. They're the ones trying to make everyone miserable. And for no good reason. Just they don't like it when the government helps people. I wish they could all go away and live someplace else where they could have it all their own way, because then they'd have to live in their own shit. Even the most diehard right-winger, I bet, wouldn't be able to survive it. It would be horrible. Leave America to real Americans, the left-wingers who care about society, and those righties would be begging to come back. How is it fair for someone who's great with books, loves science, finds a job, no problem, versus someone who hates the work and doesn't even understand it? Wait, what? Okay, whatever. God forbid we give the poorest people a little bit of money so they can live, because it's too much government involvement. But people have abortions and not letting gay people marry is just fine. What? I think it's supposed to be like stopping people from having abortions and not letting gay people marry. Okay. That has nothing to do with government getting in your personal life. I guess that last line is supposed to be said sarcastically. They say people should starve and freeze on the street because they couldn't find work. How harsh is that? Even if they are lazy, they don't deserve to die for it. Being strict won't make poor people and homeless disappear. That's for damn sure. They'll always be there. There will always be problems with the system. Why should people have to move for jobs? Moving costs money. You can't move if you're broke. Jobs should be everywhere. That's true. You have to talk to right-wingers like babies because they're too immature to understand you otherwise. Damn, this is getting harsh. I didn't expect this to be political. I mean, I didn't expect the end of the video to get so political. That's what I meant to say. I dare any right-winger to have a real debate. Oh, I shouldn't have said that because plenty of them do. One where they don't just disintegrate down into cussing and lame insults and accusing us of not knowing what we're talking about when clearly we do, because we just give a sound argument of our own. I bet they can't do it. Well, a lot of right-wingers do have good debates. But the problem is just that, like, you debate for a while, and you get down to the bottom line, and they're just like, well, this is the world I want. And then you're like, well, this is the world I want. And then you can't move any further because you guys can't agree on the last thing. You know what I mean? That's really what happens. Where is it? They just say, you're anti-American, you're Nazi, you're communist. Everything that sounds bad, you're it. That's basically what everybody says. To anybody who they don't like. Okay. Is that it? That was, interesting. Once we get like 1,000 comments on this video, so everybody's like telling me how bad my politics are. But hey, fuck it. I mean, other than the last part about, I don't think right-wingers can't debate. They do it all the time. It's just, like I said, it's like they want one world, we want another world, you know? So how do you really get past that? Oh shit, it's 21 minutes? Okay.